welcome to Shocktober again. God, I always just start with a loud hello. I should really change that, but how else do you start a conversation? Just hello. And I consider these conversations, even though it may be one-sided, you're just listening to me talk. But, you know, I'm talking to you guys. We interact on Twitter. We interact in emails from time to time. Send an email. Let us know. But, we're going to talk about our next movie, which is our second zombie movie, and honestly, a better one than the last one I covered. This movie is called The Resort, and that's Resort spelled with a Z instead of an S. It was just kind of a blind Netflix pick, and the synopsis is The Resort, spelled with a Z, a post-apocalyptic safari offers paying guests the opportunity to kill zombies in the wake of an outbreak. So this is a movie that takes place like after a zombie apocalypse. Like, oh, you know, the apocalypse happened, the world was devastated, but they won in the end. But there's this one island where zombies are still there, and they've basically turned it into a gaming ranch, and like they fenced it off, and they have zombies there, and people can go there and pay and just like hunt them with like a guide. You know, take your frustrations out and stuff like that, which, you know, it's barbaric, and there's obviously the angle of, oh, there's like groups that are against this because it's inhumane and those used to be people and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know, I expected this movie to just be probably really terrible because there's just so many like VOD zombie movies that are garbage, and this one honestly really surprised me. I believe it's a British movie, so I've found that a lot of times British zombie movies are actually very good, or like foreign zombie movies, and they seem to do better with a smaller budget. So The Resort was one that actually was surprising to me. I thought it was actually pretty fun. I thought the zombie effects were going to be cheap and bad, but they're actually really good. All the like CGI gunfire worked fine. It was brutal and violent. There were some interesting characters, and it really took me by surprise. It's not gonna like blow anybody away or anything, but when you go in expecting it's complete garbage and you end up being pretty entertained, you know, that's a win for me. I will say the movie actually looks really nice, which is something that sets it apart from VOD movies. It definitely has some bad CGI here and there, but overall, it looks pretty good. So kind of the thing is like the main character is this woman, and she's going with a guy who's either a friend or a brother. I can't quite remember, or I'm not even really sure if they say. But the idea is her dad died during the zombie apocalypse, and she just has never gotten over it. And she's going to the resort as a way to try to confront her demons, basically like, oh, maybe if I kill some, I won't feel so bad about not being able to protect my dad. And as the movie progresses, you find out that her dad was infected, and the guy that's with her actually was the one who had to kill him. And she's not really happy about that. But it's good. And there's a guy there who's like an extremely well equipped to handle the situation. They don't really get into his backstory. He's kind of like the mysterious stranger, but they all have weapons that they pick out, and a couple of characters are like kids who won some like contests for a game that's kind of like Call of Duty, but based on like the real life zombie stuff. And so you got kind of a wide variety of characters, and of course you got the one character that's doesn't want to kill any of the zombies, and she's there for a specific purpose. And there is a kind of a twist in the plot, and there are some bad humans, because the real monster is always humanity. That's kind of the message of every zombie story. But everybody gets their comeuppance. There was one moment I was kind of confused by. Like, I thought the main character was infected at one point, and I was like, oh, great. Like, everybody is just going to die, and it's going to be one of those movies. But that apparently ended up being misleading, so I don't know why. But I saw her, like, it looks like she showed some, like, reached on her leg and, like, had some blood, and then it looked like she was hiding it from everybody. So I thought maybe she was bit, but I guess it was just meant to be misleading. But that was kind of a weird moment. Yeah, honestly, The Resort, it's It's decent, and it kind of gave me some Dead Island vibes because the environment is kind of tropical. They go through some like kind of rundown buildings. Like, it reminds me of Dead Island or Dying Light, any of those games if you played any of those. But I don't know if I have a lot more to say about it, but The Resort, if you're looking for a zombie movie, and it's got some good action, like I said, it's actually got some good effects. There's actually some lore behind the zombies where they actually talk about, like, oh, the fresher ones are faster. So somebody who's just turned is going to be like a running zombie, but after, they've been a zombie for a while, they slow down and, they kind of become your shambling zombies. So that I like that. I like when we get some science behind our zombies. It's one thing that is usually missing from any kind of zombie movie. And then when there's a lot of movies that do it really bad, like the Resident Evil movies. But I like when there's some science behind the zombies. I like when it makes sense. I like the idea that, like, hey, a zombie apocalypse isn't the end-all be-all as long as you can survive, because eventually they will die and decompose and won't be a problem anymore. But yeah, so it's entertaining. It's fun. It's like a 3 out of 5. Like, yeah, it's okay. You can have some fun with it. If you're in the mood for it's only like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes maybe. If you're in the mood to just throw on a zombie movie and just watch some people get killed and watch some zombies get headshotted, you could do a lot worse than The Resort. So I would recommend it. If it's a good little throw it on during October movie, which is exactly what I did. And for being a blind Netflix pick, a buddy of mine had actually heard of it because he's somebody who follows like horror movies and visits like horror websites every day. So he had heard of it and actually had heard good things. So for me, it was just a blind pick, and I was happy with what I got. So be sure to check out The Resort. I'll recommend it. There you go. It's again 3 out of 5. It's not going to blow you away, but it's totally fine. So that's going to be it for today's Shocktober review. Our next movie is going to be a little bit of an interesting one, but the fact if it falls into horror is questionable, but we'll get on that. But be sure to check out our next episode, and thank you for listening.